Last week, he's already looking for overflow areas for other people nearby. Congressman, let me just play you a minute of this, get your comment on, and then we'll let you go. This is world's worst president. This is Keith Olbermann. Now, understand, we have the Cyhurst clip where he lays it out and says we just didn't put it in the newspaper, in the magazine, but here it is. This is the audio from Friday's Keith Olbermann.
He told the Campus Progress Journalism Conference that in a meeting in the Vice President's office, members of the administration sat around brainstorming ideas to provoke a war with Iran. Quote, the one that interested me the most was, why don't we in our shipyard, build 4 or 5 boats that look like Iranian PT boats, put Navy SEALs on them with a lot of arms, and the next time one of our boats goes to the Straits of Hormuz, start a shoot-up. Might cost some lives, and it was rejected because you can't have Americans killing Americans. That's the level of stuff we're talking about. Provocation, but that was rejected. Can you see this happening in Cheney's office? Sure you can. Can you see Cheney getting all happy and worked up and almost smiling? Sure you can. Can you see when they get to the part about Americans being killed and you can't do that and he just stares at them all and says, so? Vice President Dick Cheney, today's worst person in the world.
Congressman, to me, this is a huge deal because in the actual clip that I'll email your staff, this is at a major journalism conference in front of hundreds of people and journalists. He says there were 11 other staged events they planned. Then we have the White House memo where they wanted to fly the U.S. planes painted up like the UN low to get them shot down. This is a big deal, and we need to make sure there's an investigation. We need to know those other 11 targets. Can you comment on this?
Well, the sad part is that a lot of people won't be surprised. I imagine you weren't totally surprised. I mean,
no,
and that's the really sad part about it. But it is tragic. It's sad. And we have to do our very best. And this exposure is great. I think this is fine. Let the people know what's going on. And maybe they'll wake up when it happens. But I'm afraid to death. All it has to do is have one of our ships hit and a bunch of Americans killed. And 1 or 2 news stations up, it was the Iranians. The country's going to be ready to go to war. I mean, that'd be even willing to call a draft to say, well, we have to go. We have to save Israel. We have to go and march in. So we need a draft. And that's the worst part that I fear. I guess we have to keep doing what we can do to expose the truth.
Congressman, you don't toot your own horn, but in closing, it was almost 2 years ago. I know it was in early 2007. I know you gave speeches similar to this, but even before that, saying, I'm afraid they're going to stage a Gulf of Tonkin in the Strait of Hormuz. Did you get intel on that, or how on earth were you able to predict something like this? And then now they already tried it with the PT boats a few months ago with fake radio transmissions. Now Gary Hart's writing letters to Iran saying they may stage a Gulf of Tonkin. I mean, how did you know that?
I didn't absolutely know that. It just sort of was the fact that they've done it before. I know what the neocons want, and they did it for Vietnam, and they've done it over the centuries. The various wars. So often there seems to be an incident with the Navy and with the ship. So it must be easier to do it. So it was just strong suspicion in relationship to the kind of people that we have running our government.
Well, by exposing it, that takes this tool of staged events and breaks it so they can't use it. Again, huge guests coming up.